This chart will help you visualize how challenging cold calling actually is. After I explain it to you, I'm going to share with you the 3 cold calling principles I have learned based on making over 50,000 cold calls in my 4-year software sales career. If you watch until the end, I'm going to share the cold call opening line that has been working for me recently. And I'm also going to give you 1 pro tip to help you increase show rate. I think it's an area of opportunity for so many reps and totally in your control to improve. These are MoneyBall metrics right here. You can quantify your efficiency as an outbound prospector by looking at your answer rate, your set rate, your show rate, and your convert rate. And I'm going to talk about the baseline metrics that you should hold yourself accountable to and or your reps if you happen to be a leader. And you can really start to make it an execution game, and this is how you do it. Let's say you make 1,000 cold calls in 1 month. If you make 1,000 cold calls, the first filter you need to look at is your answer rate, meaning what percentage of prospects actually answer your cold call. I have found a good answer rate to be around 6%. Some people can be around that 8%. A lot of people are closer to the 4%. So we're going to use 6% to be conservative. If you make 1,000 cold calls with a 6% answer rate, that means you're having 60 live conversations. Of those 60 live conversations, what percentage of those cold calls do you actually set up an initial meeting with? I have found a benchmark to be about 15% of a good set rate. So if you have 60 live conversations, that means you're actually setting up 9 meetings. Of those 9 meetings you set, what percentage of prospects actually show up to the meetings? And that's show rate. And I have found 80% to be pretty good, meaning if you set 9 meetings, 7.2 meetings will actually be completed. Of those completed meetings, what percent of meetings actually convert to a qualified opportunity? And that's your conversion rate right there. You need to be at least 90% conversion rate, meaning of those 7.2 completed meetings, you will have about 6.5 qualified opportunities. If your target as an SDR or an account executive is to set up initial meetings, to book demos, to generate pipeline, whatever it may be, you can reverse engineer how many calls do you need to make to get to that outcome that will help you make more money and find more success sooner rather than later. If you enjoyed the MoneyBall metric breakdown, subscribe to the channel now for more sales videos, especially if you work in tech or are looking to get in tech. I spent the first 2 years of my career as an SDR, and at one point, in order to get promoted to an account executive, I needed to meet a certain threshold in those MoneyBall metrics. So I studied them extensively, and all of the cold calls I've made were through outbound prospecting strategies. I had to go find everyone myself. I had to make the calls. There were no auto dialers. So I learned it by being in the trenches, and I'm still in the trenches today as a senior account executive. A misconception people have is that as you promote, cold calling becomes less important. Cold calling actually becomes more important the higher up you go, because you need to be more efficient with your time, because along with pipeline generation, I'm now working on closing deals, and the people I'm calling have more money to spend, so I need to be targeted with it, and I need to know what I'm doing. And these 3 cold calling principles I have learned based on firsthand experience and are still applicable today in my role as a senior account executive. Number 1 is that tone, pitch, inflection is everything. Taking those pauses are powerful. What you say isn't as important as how you say it. Imagine you're talking to a dog. And your dog's name is Frank, and you're talking to a human. If you were talking to human Frank, you'd say Frank. If you're talking to your dog, you'd say Frank, Frank, what's up? If you're talking to your dog, you use tone, pitch, inflection. For those of you who are like, oh, Trent, I'm just monotone. Imagine you're talking to a dog. You want to see the dog. The dog is smiling at you. The prospect will not be smiling at you, and the prospect is not happy to see you, but you need to take that same energy that you would take as if you were speaking to a dog to your prospect. You need to be there to delight their day. And your message isn't so much as important as how you're delivering it. A lot of new reps are scared because they say, I don't know what I'm saying. I need to use a script. They sound like a robot. They sound monotone. Maybe they sound like me, a used car salesman. Everyone said, Trent, you talk super fast. So what I had to learn over time was figuring out how to be very succinct. I would encourage you to get out your cell phone and do your pitch in your audio recording. Listen to it, listen to yourself, and figure out, okay, how can you sound more natural and human on the phone? And I know you're thinking, well, Trent, I don't like to listen to my voice. I don't like to listen to my voice either, and I've still put out over 560 YouTube videos that I've had to personally edit and listen to my voice each and every day. Cold call principle number 2 is if the call feels rushed, it's you who are rushing the call. Imagine you're at Chipotle, you're in a rush, you're talking to the guy making the burrito or the girl, and you say, hey, I want extra burrito, double chicken, all this extra rice. And then you see him wrap it, and I'm like looking, but I'm not looking, and I'm like, I can already tell you've screwed it up. In a way, I feel like my demeanor being there rushes them in a way, and I don't want them to rush it because I want them to do it right. It's the same when you're cold calling. The prospect does not want you to rush it, but they're going to try to rush you because they're going to hit you with, I'm about to run into a meeting. Who are you? Your name doesn't ring a bell. Yeah, I can't talk right now. They're going to give you all these excuses, and it's just to rush you off the phone, especially if they say it at like 2:49, and it's like 11 minutes before the top of the hour. They're like, I'm about to get into a meeting. You're like, okay, you have 11 minutes. You have some time. Can you give me 30 seconds to tell you why I'm calling? So whenever they try and do that, never let them rush it. You are always controlling the pace. It's the same thing with LeBron in basketball. He controls the tempo of the game deliberately. You need to control the tempo of the cold call and always remain in control no matter what they say. Finally, you need to always make the ask for their time. This is the most important cold calling principle that you can take away. It's if you find yourself on a lot of live conversations and you're not actually setting up meetings, something you may not be doing is actually asking for the meeting. And that's why you cold call in the first place. You are selling time. You are not there to try and explain rocket science or how your product works or uncover what's broken about their product. You are there to give them enough of a compelling reason to say, you know what? I will give you 15 to 30 minutes of my time. You are there to sell the time, and the only way that you are going to get the time is if you ask for the time. It's a universal principle. If you don't ask, you never receive. So get out a Post-it note and write down, make the ask. And this is something I had to do early in my SDR career so that I remembered I can't get off this phone until I at least make the ask, even if it doesn't seem likely, because if I don't ask, I'll never set the meeting. But if I ask, at least I have a chance that they'll say yes. Behind me, you will see ping pong tables and infinite office space for open desks that we need to fill. There is opportunity out there for you to get hired. There is also opportunity out there for you to generate a lot of pipeline and make a lot of money. And in order to do that, you need a great way to open cold calls, and you need the prospects to actually show up to your meetings. So when you're making the cold call, traditionally I would say, hey, this is Trent from insert company name. How are you? Great. The reason I'm calling you is that I'm following up on a recent email I sent you. Does my company name XYZ ring a bell? The reason I'm calling you specifically is that I noticed that you oversee marketing. Is customer feedback a priority for you or the team this year in 22? That's traditionally how I would open calls. Right now, what I've been trying, and I'm at the point where I have this template and I can change it as needed because I'm so comfortable making calls. What I've started to do is, hey, this is Trent from insert company name. How are you? And then I'll say, hey, I know I'm calling you out of the blue. May I have 30 seconds to tell you the reason why I'm calling? That also works as well. Both approaches work, but it comes down to the way you're saying it to get them comfortable enough and provide them the reason. Hey, who are you? What do you want? Very quickly give them that so that they can then give you the space of, okay, I'll give this guy or girl 30 seconds to say whatever they want. When you eventually make the ask for their time and you set up the meeting, one surefire way to increase your show rate is to, one, confirm their email. Hey, I noticed your email was t@subscribetotrentsyoutubechannel.com. Is that still the best email to reach you? You'll confirm it. And then you'll say, perfect. Well, I'm going to send you this invite for Friday at 2 p.m. Central. My agenda for that call is I'd like to better understand your XYZ initiatives, introduce how my company can help, and if we both see alignment, continue the conversation. If not, we absolutely can part ways. You give them that expectation. They say, okay, that's digestible. I get it. They set the agenda. Okay, I'll be there. So when it comes time to them actually showing, they're more inclined to show up. And then the day of or the night before, both work, but the earlier the better. Send them a call reminder, subject call reminder dash company name, and then reaffirm that agenda and then give them some sort of value, a deposit. That will increase your show rates, and I think it will actually increase your conversions as well, because they'll say, this person's serious, they really do care about providing value. They will feel it, you'll feel good about it, I'll feel good about it as well. If you found value in today's video, hit the like button now, share this video with a friend who needs it, subscribe for more sales videos. I also have a sales podcast. I just did my first episode in person with one of my best friends. We started together here 4 years ago, day one as SDRs, both promoted up to AEs, and we talked about the journey, everything you need to know to promote fast, and that's going to be the first link in the description below. Have a great rest of the day. Happy dialing.